Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, friends, it's been 2 years of Bidenomics. 2 years since they really started to implement this new progressive economic plan that doesn't only work for the elites, but works for everyone. As Joe Biden says, from the bottom up, that's the way his economic system works. Meanwhile, we're getting poorer and the elite billionaire class continues to expand their wealth in historic fashion. But anyways, it's been roughly 2 years of hashtag Bidenomics, and as we've been covering, the goalposts keep moving. At first, Bidenomics is working.
It's a term we're very proud of, I must tell you, because Bidenomics is working. It's working.
Biden has been maybe too reticent, too modest to take credit. But I mean, where we've come since the depths of the pandemic is an astounding recovery story. Astounding.
Oh well, maybe it's not working, but actually it is working, and the problem is you, because you have an inability to be happy. That's how it started. Bidenomics is working because of X, Y, and Z. Well, X, Y, and Z didn't exactly convince the public, now did it? So now they've decided to shift their messaging campaign to something brand new. Well, not exactly brand new, but they've decided to co-opt the far left-wing excuse. None of the inflation that you're seeing today has anything to do with government money printing. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden's ridiculous legislative agenda and spending spree. No, actually, it's evil capitalism and evil corporations charging you extra because they're just such evil capitalists. Yep, here we go. The goalposts have officially been moved. Joe Biden is attempting a brand new marketing strategy. I'll make the prediction in advance here. Not gonna work. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. Let's have a conversation. Let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So Joe Biden decided that the Super Bowl is the time to really address some pertinent issues. You know, the core concerns of American voters. Here's Joe Biden's pre-Super Bowl message to the people.
The Super Bowl is Sunday. If you're anything like me, you like to be surrounded by a snack or two while watching the big game. You know, when buying snacks for the game, you might have noticed one thing. Sports drinks bottles are smaller. A bag of chips has fewer chips, but they're still charging you just as much. And as an ice cream lover, what makes me the most angry is that ice cream cartons have actually shrunk in size, but not in price. I've had enough of what they call shrinkflation. It's a ripoff. Some companies are trying to pull a fast one by shrinking the products little by little and hoping you won't notice. Give me a break. The American public is tired of being played for suckers. I'm calling on companies to put a stop to this. Let's make sure businesses do the right thing now.
So obviously you could see the strategy here. Joe Biden is attempting to shift blame. Sure, everything's getting more expensive during my administration, but of course it isn't inflation. No, it's shrinkflation. It's these evil, greedy, capitalist pigs that are shrinking the sizes of products without letting you know they're essentially scamming you so they can increase their profits. It's the greedy capitalists increasing their prices just because they just want record profits. You know, this is an argument that we've heard before, but it's also an argument that's completely economically illiterate. Companies just don't increase their prices willy-nilly. There's global markets. They're competing with thousands of businesses, of course, depending on the field. Therefore, their prices need to remain competitive or they will lose all their market share. We're talking about margins. When you increase the cost of literally everything, especially fuel, when you do what Joe Biden's done over the last couple of years, when you print trillions of excess dollars that aren't accounted for and pump them into the economy, you have the obvious factor of demand supply, but when you increase the cost of production by increasing fuel costs, or when the logistics of supply chains get slowed down or muddied, companies are forced to increase prices. That's economics 101, and that's exactly what happened. Oh, but that's not the case. Look at the record profits. Record profits, everyone says. Record profits. Yeah, well, those record profits are pretty relative. Obviously, if we're going to pump all kinds of money into the economy, if we're going to artificially inflate the economy, then profits are clearly going to go up. Not to mention, if companies need to start adapting and changing the prices of their goods to hedge against future inflation, that's going to affect their current inventory. In other words, let's say you have a major seafood distributor. Let's call this person X. Person X has been buying a whole bunch of seafood at market price. He's keeping it in cold storage. It lasts, let's say, 2 years in cold storage. And then all of a sudden, we go through an inflation crisis. 12 months later, the price of lobster has, let's say, gone up 75%. Well, all the inventory that Person X has been holding on to, which is, of course, a corporate asset, let's call it, he bought that lobster 12 months ago and has been holding it in cold storage as he slowly sells it to his customers. Well, he can now charge 75% increase based on market prices, even though he bought the lobster in and put it in storage 12 months ahead and bought it at a significantly lower cost. Oh, but record profits, shrinkflation, corporations are gouging consumers. No, of course not. Business people don't control global markets. They simply follow them. That is not how business and economics works. The implication that it's just a bunch of greedy capitalists gouging consumers is a lie. It's fake news. It's propaganda. The reality is corporations are trying to survive during these very unfortunate economic times. You think companies want to charge customers more just 'cause? Of course not. Every company except for maybe luxury brands, anybody who isn't selling luxury goods where it's all marketing into markups, anybody operating regular businesses wants to remain competitive, and the way you remain competitive is by having low input costs, which then allows you to sell products at a cheaper rate. Kinda hard to do when the government is implementing policies that makes gas prices skyrocket, where states are implementing arbitrary minimum wage laws, when corporate taxes are going up. Kind of hard to do when you've created an inflation crisis, a gas crisis. In other words, it's frickin' Joe Biden's fault, and now he's attempting to shift the blame as per usual. Joe Biden sets the house on fire, and then of course blames the firemen. Well, I don't know, Jack, I saw you in the house when the fire was raging. It must have been them. They were in the house, not me. You know, the guys taking the emergency call coming to put out the fire, it's their fault. The dementia patient who poured a glass of water into a boiling pot of oil, creating a blazing inferno, definitely not that guy's fault, right? What an absolute joke. I mean, what an absolute farce. Is shrinkflation a real thing? Yes, it's a real thing. And depending on where you live, you might have noticed it. I mean, for Pete's sakes, some places I've been to, chicken nuggets are freaking half the size they used to be. Take a look at this photo. I mean, companies are doing what they gotta do to maintain their healthy bottom lines. A lot of the times, corporations have very, very low profit margins, sometimes below 10%. When you're running a big-scale, low-margin operation, the price of gas shooting up, going up 50%, has a serious impact on you, and you have to make some changes, especially if you're trying to, exist long-term. Companies are doing what they gotta do, and government is doing everything that they can do to get in the way of, well, let's call it production or being productive. In other words, I guess the TLDR or the conclusion is here, Joe Biden's an idiot, no one's buying it. My conclusion, it's yet again an insult to every American, an insult to your intelligence. It's simply not gonna work. Joe Biden, the political slug, trying to wiggle his way out of this one. Never going to happen. It's not shrinkflation, it's Bidenflation. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.